welcome back. Today I woke up in the biggest reading mood and I was like, I think I want to film a 24-hour readathon. I love 24-hour readathons. They make me so happy. So I smashed through my to-do list so I wouldn't have to worry about that. And now it is only 10:30 in the morning and I am going to start a 24-hour readathon. I think this time I'm going to try and use the timer method. Usually I don't use that method. I think it would be fun to just switch it up a little bit, do something different. I feel like everyone does 24-hour readathons slightly different. So for me, when I use a timer method, it means I'm going to read for 24 hours, but not in 24 hours. So I'm going to start a 24-hour timer on my phone like this. And every time I pick up a book and start reading, I'm going to have the timer going. And every time I stop reading, I'll pause the timer. So we will see exactly how much I can read in a 24-hour time period, but it may take me a few days. So let me run you through the two books that I'm currently reading. First up, on my Kindle, I'm reading The Brawl by Devney Perry. This is the last book that's out right now in the Calamity Montana series, but like the series is unfinished as of yet, but like this is the most recent release in the Calamity Montana series, small town romance vibe. I don't know if I'd call this one enemies to lovers, but it is about a teacher and a lawyer. The lawyer has just moved to Calamity Montana and he is trying to start up his business in the small town. And the teacher, Lark, she is a single mom, so it is single parent trope, which I love. And she has decided she has sworn off men. She feels like she's been treated really poorly in the past, and so she's like, never mind. I'm not going to put myself or my daughter through another failed relationship or another bad guy, I guess. So I'm sworn off men. But the lawyer guy, Ronan, is obsessed with her and he just is so persistent. He's like, please, like, let me take you on a date, please. So it's almost like groveling, but he hasn't really done anything wrong. He is just like begging for an ounce of attention from her, which I love. And also there's a bit of a side plot going on that includes a lawsuit. So I'm really enjoying this so far. I think I'm 50% of the way through this, so I think I could definitely finish this pretty quickly. And then the other book that I just started last night is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. I am already obsessed with this. I think I am 100 and something pages in, 138 pages in, and it is so good. This is the second book in the Villains series. The first book is Vicious, the second book is Vengeful. The first book I read, I think in like November or December, I can't remember exactly when, but Liam actually picked it out for me when we went book shopping. We filmed a video where he chose my reads, and he chose Vicious. I'd never read V.E. Schwab before that, and I fell in love with it, gave it 5 stars. Then he gave me this one for Christmas, and I just hadn't picked it up yet. She's a bit of a chunky one, so hopefully we can get a dent in this today as well. But those are the books that I'm currently reading. I'm so excited to be doing a 24-hour readathon. I'm really excited to see how the timer method works for me, and hopefully you guys enjoy coming along with me. Update, it's been around 2 hours and I am officially a little over halfway through this book, which is really exciting. I feel like I'm kind of smashing through it, or it feels like that. I feel like I could just sit and read this. Well, I don't know if I could finish it right now, but I'm enjoying it enough that I could just sit and keep reading for a long time, I think. It is just so freaking good. I don't understand V.E. Schwab's brain. I feel like the concepts that they come up with are just so complex and unique and just so unlike anything I've ever read before. And in Vicious and Vengeful, the whole concept is that if you go through a near-death experience, so you almost die but you don't, you somehow come out with a superpower, and everyone gets a different superpower. So there are shapeshifters, there are people that can bring people back to life. Like anything you can think of, it's probably a superpower that someone has. It's just so interesting. It's giving The Incredibles, but like the adult version kind of thing. Like it's just so freaking cool. And this book especially is really hard to tell you about because obviously it's the second in the series, and talking about the concepts and like the plot lines could potentially spoil things that happened in the first one, so I won't go into it too much. But there's this whole moral dilemma of good versus evil, heroes versus villains. Who is actually a villain? Who is actually a hero? What makes a hero a hero? Do villains actually think they're being villains, or do they think they're being helpful? Do they think they're being heroes? It's so cool. And I also just love the characters in this. There's a little girl called Sydney. I guess she's not really that little, but she's definitely younger than all the other characters, and she is just like so wholesome and sweet, but then like she has a superpower that makes her pretty powerful and pretty interesting. I'm loving it. It's so good. So I'm probably going to keep reading this. I'm definitely not in a romance mood at the moment. I haven't been pretty much all month. I think I've read like one romance book all month. Everything else has either been a thriller or a fantasy book. So I'm definitely going to continue with this, and then I'm sure I'll get to a point where my brain is just a bit too full of fantasy and complicated storylines, and I might want to go back to my cute little small town romance. But that's your update. I have officially finished Vengeful, which is so exciting but also so sad. Something that I find very interesting when I was like kind of looking into this book a little bit more, and forgive me if any of this information is incorrect, and please feel free to educate me on the correct information if you do know it. Vicious, so like the first book in this series, was released in 2013, I believe, and then it took 5 years for Vengeful to be published. And on Goodreads, like when you have a look into it, there is another book called Victorious that says it is book 3 in this series, but I don't know like what the story is with that. Like, has it been confirmed? I don't think there's a release date. I tried to look through V.E. Schwab's Instagram and it only looks like she's talking about her release of another book that is coming in September this year, I think, but I couldn't see anything about Victorious, and it doesn't seem like she has really like talked much about it, but there is this like Goodreads page for it. So like, is it a thing? Is it not a thing? If anyone knows what the situation is with a third book in the Villain series, please let me know, because I'm very intrigued and I love the characters in this book, so I'd be super excited to read another book about them. I just really enjoyed it. I honestly think it's going to be 5 stars from me. I'm just really impressed by the writing, by the concepts, by the execution, the plot lines, the characters. It's all really well done in my opinion. But yeah, I think it's like around 4 o'clock now. We have been reading this book for most of the day because I started at 10:30, so this did take me a while, but also that's to be expected. And I mean, I did take breaks in between, so I wasn't reading for that entire time, but I am glad that we finished this book because it is quite long. It's like 570 pages, so I am happy with that. And I guess I'm just gonna move on to The Brawl by Devney Perry and do some reading on my Kindle. I have a bit of a confession. I had to restart my timer because my iPad died and my timer got all messed up, so I just restarted it where it should have been, so it's not like I've added or lost any time. But we have read for just over 4 hours, which is great, but also like crazy to me because I've been reading like all day. Well, it feels like I've been reading all day, but I guess I started at 10:30. It's now like 4, and obviously I stopped the timer every time I wasn't actually reading, so I feel like it's just confusing me a bit because it feels like I've been reading all day, but I obviously like haven't. Anyway, I'm just gonna settle on the couch for a bit and try and read The Brawl.
Here's to the good days, here's to the sorrows. If this is a mistake, I know about tomorrow. I don't wanna fight.
not feeling good today. Liam had a cold over the weekend. It's now Friday, so it's like 5 days later, and I think I've caught it because yesterday I just had like a runny nose and was feeling like slightly off, but today I woke up feeling so gross. Like honestly, not too bad. I don't feel like super sick. I just feel really tired and like run down. So I think it's like my body fighting off a bit of a cold. Like I said, nothing like serious, just like a little cold. But yeah, I've just felt awful all day. I was also just doing some like Instagram filming stuff, and after I was done with that, I just decided to put on like comfy clothes. So that's why we've had an outfit change since you last saw me, because even though I haven't talked to you today, you guys have still seen what I've been up to and what I've been reading. So I started 2 new books today because last night or yesterday we finished Vengeful and The Brawl. So I started a new romance and a new fantasy. So the romance that I started is The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. I have read 100 pages of this today and I am loving it. It is so fun. I am really pleasantly surprised. We'll see how it goes because Mr. Wrong Number was definitely not a favorite of mine. I definitely prefer her young adult novels over her adult novels, but this one is really fun so far and it's also quite short, so hopefully I'll make more of a dent in that tonight or this evening. Liam's out with the boys. I have no plans and I'm kind of feeling sick, so I doubt I'll do anything except for read and go to bed early. But I also started, or I guess restarted, Akamath, A Quarter Mist and Fury. I'm like 100 pages into this and it feels so good to be back. If you watched my reading 200 pages every day for a week video, I was rereading Akata in that video and I finished my reread of that, and so of course I want to just like continue the rest of the series. And the first time I read this series, this book was my favorite, and I'm really intrigued to know if it's gonna keep being my favorite during this reread. I feel like it's a toss-up between this book and Aka War as my top favorite, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I started this again and it just felt so good to be back in this world. Like I truly just feel like I was just like, it's good to be back. Like good to be back with all of my favorite characters, and especially in the second book we kind of get introduced to a lot more of the characters, and a lot of my favorite characters get introduced in this book, so it just warms my heart. And I feel like this time I can just pay so much more attention to certain details and things that I didn't get to pay attention to the first time because I didn't realize they were important, and I was like too busy trying to keep up with the plot and trying to figure out who was who. And so this time I can really just like hone in on how funny some of the jokes are and how witty some of the humor is, and also obviously just like foreshadowing bits and stuff like that. I've also decided to annotate, so I've been writing little notes in the margins and just been highlighting different lines and things, and it's just so fun. But anyway, I think I'm gonna get back into reading. I might do a bit more reading of The Love Wager, I think. Let's see how much time we have left on the timer. I think we still have a lot of time. Okay, so we have 15 hours and 45 minutes left on the clock, which is definitely a long time. We haven't even made it past 10 hours yet. So let's resume. It's 9 p.m. This is what our countdown is looking like. We're roughly halfway through the 24-hour readathon, guys. And as for my reading, I am having the best time right now. Since I last talked to you, I reached page 200. Yeah, literally exactly page 200 in The Love Wager. So we're 2/3 of the way through. We have roughly 100 pages left. I think I'm gonna try and read a bit more of this before I fall asleep. And then we also made it to page 200 of Akamath. So page 200 is the recurring theme right now. But it's just so crazy that 200 pages in this book means I'm 2/3 of the way through, and 200 pages in this book looks like I've read 5 chapters. But you guys have probably seen in the like time-lapse clips as well, but I have been annotating this book. I have been highlighting, I have been writing little notes, I have been drawing little doodles and things, and it's just so freaking fun. I am loving this reread with my whole heart. Like, this is so good. It is so much better than the first Akata book, and I kind of just forgot how good it is. I personally don't think what I'm about to say is a spoiler because it probably makes no sense unless you've read the book. But at the point that I'm currently at, we have met the inner circle and we are in Valaris. And If you guys have been on my channel for a while and you watch a lot of my book videos, you've probably heard me talk about how much I love the ACOTAR series, and specifically how much I love the Inner Circle and the Found Family in this series. But I've got to say, if you've only read the first book, you will not understand what I'm referring to, because the Found Family in this series doesn't really begin until this book. And I am just so happy to be back at the point where the Found Family is beginning, where we're meeting all of these side characters that make the family element of this series so good. And I love these characters just so much. They all feel so distinct. They have such unique and independent personalities. They just speak for themselves, and I love them. I love them all so much. So this has just been a joy to go through, but I think I am going to put it down for now, purely because the annotating side of things, I feel like I need to be at a table to be able to do that properly. So now that I'm hopping into bed, I'm going to go back to the love wager and see how much I can get through before I fall asleep. Pretty wild night. Friday evening, 9 p.m. Liam is out with the boys. I am hopping into bed to read my romance book. Good morning, my sweet friends. It is Saturday. I have no plans today, but honestly, since I'm feeling a bit under the weather, I'm kind of glad I have no plans, because I don't know if I have the energy to do too much today. Last night, I finished The Love Wager by Lynn Painter, and I really enjoyed this. It was so much fun. I was really pleasantly surprised because I didn't really love Mr. Wrong Number, which is Lynn Painter's other adult novel. I didn't hate it, I just didn't love it. So going into The Love Wager, I was like, oh, I think this will be fun, but I just like don't think it'll be a favorite. I think it'll be like a 3-star read, but I really liked it. It was friends to lovers, and I think that was a huge reason I enjoyed it so much, because a lot of the book was just the main characters becoming friends and being friends, and I loved seeing that part. And after finishing it, I was trying to like figure out my rating, and I'm still like not 100% sure. I'm gonna let it like settle for a while before I really like claim a rating. But I'm thinking back to the bits that I loved and what I really enjoyed about it, and I'm like, did I enjoy them being friends more than I enjoyed them being lovers? Like, did I enjoy the friends portion more than the lovers portion? And I think maybe I did, but I just feel like I loved their banter. I love small gestures in books, and I feel like often that happens in a friends to lovers story before the lovers portion, because it's almost like the build up, and I think I like the build up more than I like the actual result, if that makes any sense. So I did really enjoy it. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that I read it, and I think it's put me in more of a romance mood, because I think I told you guys, oh, I'm not really in a huge romance mood, but I think I'm getting there. Like, I think I'm slowly getting back into my romance mood. Anyway, plans for today. Obviously, I'm going to continue my reread of Akamath, but apart from that, I want to start a new romance book as well. And I don't know if I either want to read Every Summer After or Flawless. I really don't know. These are such different vibes, I think. This is like a childhood friends to lovers, then and now timeline. Everyone compares it to Love and Other Words. And then this one is a cowboy romance, like small town vibes, I think. I really don't know what I feel like. This is on my TBR for the month, and I have been very bad at sticking to my TBR this month. I feel like some months I literally tick almost everything off my TBR, and some months I get 1 week into the month and I'm like, no, I hate this whole TBR. Like, I don't feel like reading any of these books, and that is what April has been for me. It's just, I think also because it was my birthday month and I got a whole bunch of new books, I was just like really excited to read the new books, and none of those books were on my TBR. So this is on my TBR, so I should read this one, but I can't tell if I'm just feeling this one. So what I think I'm gonna do is like read the first chapter or the first like 20 or so pages of each one and just see what I'm more in the mood for. So we'll see what I pick. I'm so sorry if I sound sick. I feel like I'm just like groggy and gross. We also have to start our timer for the day. I feel like such an iPad kid, but I love my iPad. We're also down to 11 hours, so we have passed the halfway mark, which is great. Sick girl aesthetic, carrying this everywhere with me.
I didn't realize your side of the bed was so squeaky.
I didn't either.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Frustrating. Enjoy reading.
Have fun. Okay, I just finished the first chapter of this. It was literally like 6 pages, but I can already tell that I really like the writing, and I'm very intrigued to see what this story is going to be. So this is a strong contender, but I'm going to try and read a bit of this and we'll see how it compares. In terms of my mood right now, I'm not saying one book is better than the other. I'm just saying for what I feel like right now. So you're telling me our main character in this book is called Summer and her sister's name is Winter. Interesting. I just finished the first chapter of this one and I also think this is so interesting. I feel like they've set up the story so well, but I don't know what I feel like choosing. I really liked both of the first chapters that I just read. I feel like I should read this because it's on my TBR, but also like this is really interesting as well. Like of course I'll read both eventually, but I don't know. I'll get back to you guys. Still in my Sour Patch Kids. Liam brought home Sour Patch Kids and I was like, do you want to share? And he was like, no, I won't have any. What is that? You little liar. Nah, it's okay. I should share.
Which one are your favourite?
Green and pink. What's your favourite?
Purple? I don't know, just purple.
A little update for you guys. I am over halfway through Every Summer After, so I decided to go with this one. Honestly, it was really hard to pick. I feel like I could have picked up either of the books that I was discussing earlier and enjoyed either of them, but I just decided to go with this one since it's on my TBR and it's a little bit shorter, so I thought I could potentially get through it a little bit faster, and honestly it has been such a quick read so far. Like literally in one sitting I have gotten halfway through the book. I think it's just over 300 pages and I'm really enjoying it so far. It is obviously very similar to Love and Other Words and also The Summer I Turned Pretty, but I feel like everyone says that, so that's not like surprising to me. I know that there's going to be something bad that happens at the end of this book, or we're gonna like find out what the bad thing was. This book is basically about childhood friends who grow up as like neighbors, houses next to each other at a lake, and the girl spends her summers there, the guy lives there full time, and so they like spend all of their holidays and summers and stuff together. And it's a then and now timeline, so the then timeline is going through all of the summers leading up to the one where something went wrong, or like I think it actually happened during Thanksgiving, not summer, either way. And the now timeline is the female main character has gone back to the like small town where the lake is because there's a funeral that she's attending, and obviously she is reconnected with the guy that she spent all of those summers with. But we know that something bad happened and they disconnected and they haven't seen each other in over a decade. And I have a feeling I know what the bad thing is. Honestly, as soon as the book started, probably like 30 pages in, I was like, oh, I have a suspicion as to what the bad thing is. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong because it's way more fun to be wrong and like not guess what's going to happen. So we'll see. I'm almost at the end and I'm at the part where we found out the bad thing that has happened that caused like the separation between the two main characters so many years ago. And I'm so mad because my guess was correct, and to me it was very obvious from the beginning what was going to happen. Like they hinted at it quite a lot, I thought, but I'm just mad that that's the answer because I didn't want that to be the bad thing, and it's just like so frustrating. Like Percy stuffed up. She really stuffed up and there's no excuses for it. It is now almost 1 p.m. I just paused the timer, but we have 7 hours and 40 minutes left. I just made myself an iced latte and I just finished Every Summer After. Perfect spot with the rest of the blue books. You know what? I did really like it. I really, really did. And I especially loved the ending. I thought it was beautiful, the way it was wrapped up. But gosh, the conflict situation was definitely very frustrating to read about because it just felt like surely not. I honestly don't know what I'm gonna rate it. It's also hard because it is very, very similar to Love and Other Words and The Summer I Turned Pretty. It's probably been almost 2 years since I read Love and Other Words, so obviously having a huge gap in between reading both of those books probably helps because I'm not comparing them so closely because I don't remember every single detail about Love and Other Words, but it did definitely feel like pretty much Love and Other Words with slightly different details. And I feel like I did think about that a lot during my reading experience, and I wonder what my thoughts would have been if I had read Every Summer After before reading Love and Other Words. Like, would I have just preferred whichever one I read first? Or is Love and Other Words just my personal favorite out of the two? I don't know. I'm pretty sure I rated Love and Other Words 5 stars, so it's not like you can get a higher rating from me, but I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna rate Every Summer After yet. I think I'm gonna let it like set in my brain before I really give it a hard rating. But I did really enjoy it. I think it was really well written and I did really like the story. I really liked the characters, especially Sam. He was really sweet, but I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, did I dislike the main character or did she just have flaws? Because I do believe that main characters should have flaws because no one's perfect, but at the same time she definitely frustrated me at times. So I don't know. I'm gonna take a bit of a reading break now and do some other stuff, but I'll let you guys know when I'm reading again. Still have 7 hours to go, so I'm assuming we'll be able to finish another book. The timer method definitely lasts so much longer. Like I think this is like my 3rd day of reading. And how many books have we finished? Like 3. And we'll see if I finish Akamath. I'm not sure. It is very long. I don't know. I had like 7 hours left and I read the 7 hours, but I didn't film any of it. I don't know why. Like I don't know what my thought process was. I have now finished the 24-hour readathon, but I ended up finishing A Court of Mist and Fury, and this was phenomenal, obviously. This is what the book looks like all tabbed up. I usually just highlight things and then sometimes write like little notes in the margins, but you guys can kind of see like the highlights and little notes and things that I wrote. But this was such a fun reread. And then for the rest of the time, I picked up Flawless, which obviously earlier in this video, I was trying to choose between whether to read Every Summer After or Flawless, and I chose Every Summer After, but because I had enough time left, I decided to go and read this. And I didn't finish it during the readathon. I have now since finished it, but I didn't finish it in the allocated time, I guess. I think I got like 200 or 250 pages through it with the rest of the time in the readathons. And now that I have finished it, I'll let you guys know that I rated it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't a 5-star read, like it wasn't perfect, but I did definitely really enjoy it. I loved the vibe and like the setting was so fun and just like different from anything I've ever read before. I also loved that it was a romance with a plot, like a really good plot. So this is about a professional bull rider whose name is Rach, and he recently lost one of his really big sponsors, and so his agent assigns him with not a babysitter but like someone to watch over him and make sure he doesn't ruin any more of his sponsors, make sure he's like behaving. The person who is assigned to be his like babysitter is the agent's daughter, and her name is Summer, and so now they are like forced proximity. She has to like watch over him, make sure he's behaving well and not messing up any future like brand deals and stuff. I wouldn't say it's enemies to lovers, but they definitely don't like each other at the start. I think my like main like thing I didn't like about this book, and it wasn't even like I didn't like it, I just didn't love it, was just that I got bored once the couple got together. I feel like it could have been a little bit more of a slow burn in my opinion, but that's also like my personal preference. I like a slow burn, so I thought it was good, just not like mind-blowing, but still very enjoyable and also so easy to read. I feel like I read this so quickly, even though it's like over 400 pages, which is like long in terms of romance books, but I do recommend it and I have ordered the next 2, so I definitely liked it enough to continue the series. Now that we've made it to the end of our 24-hour time period, I thought I'd just go through everything that we read and give my final thoughts and ratings, I guess. So, I mean, I just talked about this, but obviously Flawless, I technically didn't finish this in the 24 hours, but I really enjoyed this. Cowboy romance, you literally just heard me talk about it, so I'm gonna keep going. Also, I feel like I just talked about Akamath, A Court of Mist and Fury, 2nd book in the Akatar series, a reread for me. I honestly loved this. I rated it 5 stars the first time, 5 stars the second time. It was so good and I had so much fun annotating this. I also read Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I feel very conflicted about this one. I think overall I'm gonna give it 4 stars because I did like the writing and I liked the characters. Our female character did frustrate me a little bit. I really liked our male main character, but overall it was good. I think I'm just kind of like, it was so similar to Love and Other Words that it felt like it feels wrong to give it a high rating when it felt so similar. The book by itself is good, and if I'd read it before Love and Other Words, maybe I would feel differently, but I didn't. So I can't give unbiased thoughts because the truth is just that I read Love and Other Words first. So I also read The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. I liked this a lot more than I thought I was going to. I think I also gave this one 4 stars. It was just a lot of fun. It was like the perfect rom-com. I do still prefer her young adult novels over her adult novels, but I think this was fun. It was quick. It was lighthearted. It still had enough depth in it. But again, like I mentioned, I think I liked the friends portion more than the lovers portion because this is a friends to lovers story. But I think that's just because I love a build up, and obviously the build up was like whilst they were still friends. So I enjoyed this. It was a fun time, but I'm probably not going to think about it forever. You know what I mean? I also read The Brawl by Devney Perry. This is the 5th book in the Calamity Montana series. I honestly really enjoyed that series overall, but they're nothing crazy. Like, they're all really enjoyable and really nice, like, palate cleansers, quick reads. I always enjoy them, but I don't think I had a 5-star read in that series specifically. I do think The Edens is better in my opinion, but again, I still really enjoyed these, and I did enjoy this one. I think it's probably like my 3rd favorite out of the series if I had to like rank them. So it was good, it just wasn't like a top favorite. I'd probably give it like 3.5 stars maybe. And then lastly, which I know I read this first, but we have Vengeful by V.E. Schwab, which is the 2nd book in the Villain series. Comes after Vicious, so definitely read Vicious before you pick up this, otherwise you'll have no idea what's going on. I feel like V.E. Schwab has beautiful writing, really cool concepts, and great execution, and I also really like the characters in this. Like, there's not much to complain about. I would say it's on the darker side, like it does feel a bit more dark. I don't really know how to explain that very well, because it's not like disturbing or something. It just feels a little bit darker. I think originally I said I was going to give this 5 stars, but upon reflection, I think it's more of like a 4.5. Still very good, but I just feel like it hasn't stuck with me the same way that other 5-star books have, so I'm going to bump it down to 4.5, which is still a phenomenal rating, and I still really enjoyed it. But those are the 6 books that I read or started reading or partly read in this video. Again, like, I'd already started this one, and we didn't finish this one. So this looks a lot more impressive than like it actually was. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you prefer the timer method or the other method. I feel like it depends what mood I'm in. But I hope you guys have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you guys in my next video very soon. Good